Welcome to this explainer on lesson 36. Today, we're not just, memorizing a list of vocabulary, we're actually unpacking 12 really powerful English words by taking a journey from chaos straight through to harmony. We're going to look at words that perfectly capture the absolute ups and downs of the human experience. By the end of this, you'll have a much deeper, practical understanding of how these essential terms map directly onto our day-to-day lives. Let's get right into it. Here are a few of the unpleasantest words that ever blotted paper. Shakespeare hit the nail on the head there in The Merchant of Venice, didn't he? He reminds us that words carry incredible weight. Some describe things that are intensely unpleasant, totally chaotic, or even downright destructive. But here's the thing. Understanding these words, it actually gives us power over them. It gives us the tools to articulate our most difficult challenges, wrap our minds around them, and ultimately move past them. Okay, let's dive into our first section, the storm, focusing on chaos and urgency. Our very first word is tempest, a violent storm with much wind or a violent disturbance. Now, when you hear tempest, don't just think of a little rain or a passing shower. Think of a violently aggressive storm with immense howling wind. But it goes way beyond just the weather. A tempest is often a violent disturbance in our own lives too. Think about a really intense argument that shakes a relationship to its core, or a sudden, massive crisis at work that just throws your entire week into complete disarray. Just picture it. The tempest drove the ship on the rocks. Imagine the sheer force of that. A tempest violently driving a massive ship straight into destruction. The raw power of the wind and those crashing waves completely strips even the most experienced sailors of all their control. It is literally a perfect metaphor for what it feels like when chaotic, unpredictable events hijack our lives and totally force us off our intended course. Now, let's look at a really fascinating contrast here. Prompt versus hasty. Prompt means quick, on time, or done at once. Hasty also means quick, but it's hurried and not well thought out. Both of these words deal inherently with speed, but wow, their practical outcomes are vastly different. Being prompt means you're quick, you're on time, and you're getting things done efficiently. It shows readiness and respect. Hasty, on the other hand, that means you are rushing. You're operating in a total panic, and because of that, you're making decisions that just aren't well thought out. A prompt response solves a problem, right? But a hasty decision almost always creates a new one. And, acting hastily often leads us right to our next word, scorch. To burn slightly, dry up, or criticize sharply. When we rush, we make damaging mistakes. We might literally scorch a piece of fabric by leaving intense heat on it for just a bit too long, or the fierce summer sun might scorch a farmer's wheat. But remember, we can also scorch people. A frustrated teacher giving a class a scorching lecture on proper behavior, they are using their words to burn slightly. The damage might not be totally fatal, but it definitely leaves a mark. For instance, consider the phrase, "the hot iron scorched the tablecloth." We've all been there, right? You leave a hot iron down for just a moment too long and, boom, it quickly scorches the tablecloth. It's a very literal representation of the physical damage a hasty action can cause when you mix heat with a lack of attention. The tablecloth isn't completely destroyed, sure, but it is permanently scarred by that quick, intense burn. All right, but after the storm comes the calm. Moving on to our next section, the calm, where we'll look at empathy and resolution. When that chaos finally strikes, our first and honestly our best instinct is often to soothe. This means to quiet, to calm, or to comfort. This word is the absolute ultimate antidote to a tempest. When your nerves are completely frayed after a super long day, soft music can soothe them. When your muscles ache from overexertion, a little heat can soothe that tension. It's all about intentionally, gently returning a person or a situation back to a baseline state of quiet comfort. Think about this sentence for a second. With an embrace, the mother soothed the hurt child. Just a simple, loving embrace. There is absolutely no tempest here, no scorching criticism, no hasty reaction. It's just a deliberate, physical act of calming. It's a great reminder that after the chaos of the storm passes, genuine comfort is exactly where the healing process begins. Once we're comforted, we can start feeling sympathetic, showing kind feelings toward others. And that deep sympathy naturally paves the way for harmony, which is getting on well together or producing a sweet musical sound. It's much like distinct musical notes blending together to create a beautiful chord. And once that harmony is finally established, we can confidently resume. We can begin again or go on. Just like a violinist picking up the melody after a long pause, we pick up our lives and move forward. And that brings us to our final section, the rules, focusing on actions and legality. Because beyond personal healing, society has hard structures in place to maintain that harmony. If we make a mistake, we can redeem ourselves, meaning to buy back, pay off, or make up for it, much like redeeming a property when a loan is finally paid back. But to proactively maintain harmony, we really have to refrain. We have to hold back from doing things that damage the community. And society draws a very hard, non-negotiable line at the illegal, actions that are strictly not lawful and carry severe consequences. Which brings us to narcotic, a substance that reduces pain and can induce sleep. This word is intrinsically tied to those very legal boundaries we were just talking about. Because narcotics are so incredibly powerful in altering our physical and mental state, they are capable of soothing immense pain, but also causing devastating harm. They are heavily, heavily regulated by those legal systems. What's absolutely wild about this word is its timeline. We can trace its roots all the way back to ancient times, specifically to the Indo-European language. It is practically ageless. It was extensively used during the Golden Age of Greece to manage suffering, and in the modern day, it continues to be used for its primary historical purpose, to reduce pain. It's just an incredible example of how the vocabulary we use right now connects us directly in a straight line to ancient human history and early medicine. All right, time for the visual quiz. Apply your knowledge. Let's see what you've picked up. Take a really good look at this picture. Which word is suggested here? We've got a moment of pure, relatable household chaos. A frustrated woman holding up a ruined dress in front of an ironing board. Notice that abandoned iron resting nearby and the massive, burnt hole right in the absolute center of the fabric. So, based on our journey from chaos to consequences today, which of the 12 words from Lesson 36 fits this image? Think back to the physical results of heat applied in a hasty rush without proper care. The word is scorch. If you guessed scorch, you nailed it. That dress wasn't just ruined. A hasty moment with a hot iron left a very permanent mark. It's a vivid anchor for our definition, to burn slightly, or, in this very unfortunate case, maybe quite a bit more than slightly. It perfectly encapsulates how a momentary lack of focus can leave lasting damage. We started Lesson 36 today with some pretty unpleasant words, but understanding them empowers us to better navigate the complexities of life. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. I want to leave you with this final thought. Whether you are weathering a tempest, trying to soothe a friend, or striving to live in harmony, how will you use these powerful words to write your own story today?